My name is Graham and welcome to my channel. I do bookish things and I like to wear a flannel. They call me Book Daddy and there's a reason why. It's because I got a kid and I'm a pretty swell guy. That's off the top of my head because this is the off the top of my head book tag. Yes, we have been tagged again in another book tag. If you guys do not know what a book tag is, it is where we're going to read some questions so that you can get to know me a little bit more and I can get to know you a little bit more in the comments. For this tag, I want to say thank you so much for Basically Netta for tagging me again. If you haven't checked out her channel, she's been doing this for a while, and just thank you. These are a lot of fun, and I can't wait to embarrass myself by talking about these things. Also, a special shout out to Gina at the Library Mouse. She's the one that originally created this tag. And so yeah, so welcome. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome if you're old here. Again, if you're new, you know what to do by clicking one of those buttons. Let's jump in to our first question. So, what was your favorite picture book as a child? For me, it's a weird one. Stone Soup by McGovern, and the pictures are drawn by WInslow, Pinney, Pels. I had to read that over there. But this book is really, really cool. It's really unique art, and it's about a person who was hungry and went to a witch and brought her a stone, and they made soup from it. It's a very interesting story. For me, it was a book I went to all the time. I had a missing ripped page in it. I don't know what happened to it, so I might have to buy this again so I can know exactly what happened in the story. But the reason this is my favorite childhood book is actually this is the book that my grandma on my dad's side bought me, and she would read to me, and she died really early on in my life, and so I think that's why I always gravitated to it, is it was a memory with my grandma for the short time I knew her. So that's why. Question number 2. What series did you love as a child? I've mentioned this before, but as a kid, my very first book that I purchased was Captain Underpants by Dave Pilkey, and then I just started buying every single one afterwards. I got the whole series up to like book 7. I even got like Super Diaper Baby and like the activity books. I was obsessed with that series all throughout my elementary school years. I got made fun of a little bit for it because it got a little bit more kiddie as I got a little bit older. But until about 6th grade, I think I was really into Captain Underpants and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It made me be able to draw and create my own stories and really good stuff. Recently, well, not recently, I guess it's been like 5 years now, they made that animated Captain Underpants movies. So I saw it and I was just like, man, this brings so much nostalgia, and the books were better. Question number 3. The worst book you've ever read or tried to read? Well, it is right here. I own it. It's called Finding Faeries by Alexandra Rowland. And let me tell you why. On the cover, it says that this book is about discovering sprites, pixies, redcaps, and other fantastical creatures in an urban environment. This book doesn't mention a single way of finding these fairies in an urban environment. They tell you small, short tidbits of each of these creatures, and it's very dumb. The reason I read this, because I really wasn't searching for fairies, is I thought A, it was going to be about some urban lore, which was going to be really cool, and B, I'm really into Dungeons and Dragons, and so I thought this would be able to give me some inspiration for creating a magical world, because I was about to run like a Feywild campaign, and so I thought this book was going to be bring that, and it didn't do that. So I gave this 1 star. I was so mad. I read this in a sitting. The art's cool. Like, you can see some cool art in there. And maybe this book isn't supposed to be read and enjoyed. It's supposed to just be like a coffee table thing. But it sucked. I don't recommend it. Sorry if you're the author. What is my favorite reading book memory? Well, I grew up in the Twilight craze area when it was going on during my high school, and I lived in a small town at that time, and so Twilight is my favorite book memory because everybody was reading Twilight. Everybody was obsessed with it. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was talking about books. I remember sitting in the cafeteria, didn't matter who I sat with, they would talk about Twilight, and then they would also talk about other books that they started reading because of it. So no matter what you say about Stephanie Meyer and her writing ability, you have to admit that she got people reading and talking about books and going back and seeing some other great authors. Like Anne Rice was somebody that became really popular after Twilight, even though she was out before then. And it was cool to be able to start reading Interview with the Vampire, Vampire Lestat, and The Queen of the Damned, and all that type of stuff. And so it was cool. So it was cool that everyone was talking about all that type of stuff. And it was cool to be able to go as a class to go see the movie and see how disappointed everybody was at the screen. And I loved it. Great memory. It was dumb. And yeah, let's move on to question number 5. A book you loved as a movie. This is a more recent movie. I'm a huge fan of Fredrik Backman. And a couple years ago, they came out with A Man Called Otto, starring Tom Hanks. They changed the name from A Man Called Ove, and they made it more Americanized. They also have A Man Called Ove in Sweden, and you can watch that movie. I haven't seen that yet, but A Man Called Otto stayed true to the book really, really well. Tom Hanks portrayed a depressed old man, and they of course changed some things, like a few of the story beats, made it more modern of what we're going through as an American society. And I really just enjoyed the movie. It was great. It was funny because Ove is a comedy or a dramedy, because it's also sad, right? The opening scene of him buying rope because he wanted to, not live anymore after his wife passed was really just sad and effective and good. It was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. So that's probably my favorite one right now that I can remember. There's so many book movies, so yeah, that's the one that pops in my head right now. Number 6, a book you wish they would make into a movie. I love this question because you guys are going to hate this answer. I actually have 2 answers. The first one that you're going to hate is A Court of Thorns and Roses. That's right. I'm coming back to that question 4. That series is so popular right now that they're definitely going to make a movie or TV series for it soon, and I cannot wait to go to the theater or see online how poorly it's received. I want this to be another Twilight where people are livid with the casting and everything, because I know we'll never be right for people's headcanon for these characters. Everybody thinks these characters look a little bit different, even though they're described in the book. Everyone's head creates something different. We'll be vastly disappointed by the casting crew for this novel. And I want it to be cheesy and I want it to be bad, because in a couple years later, it's going to be a cult classic and it's going to be awesome. So that is something I want to see turn into a movie because of those reasons. But for the real answer, the one that I would genuinely be thrilled to see, I mean, I'd be thrilled to see A Court of Thorns and Roses, but the one that speaks to me that I'd be like, oh my gosh, amazing, would be The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I don't know if they already have announced that they're doing things. I think they might have announced a TV show, or it was like early on in the works, or like rights have been accepted somewhere. But I'd love to see a TV series and or a movie, because I think people really need to see the story of Rin, and they need to see her go through a devastating like war. People think that book movies are going to be like super like cool, and they're going to make like little niche things of, like Hunger Games, like, so I couldn't whistle. But I think with The Poppy War, it's going to be really crazy to have this like dramatic thing that's based in actual Chinese history and just see the devastations of war. I don't want any bars held. I want this thing to almost be rated R, right? So that's why I think it'd be a great TV series, a great movie, because people need to experience that, because it's so good. It's such a good book. And everyone needs to freaking read it or watch it. So that's why I want that to be a movie. Question number 7. A book character that you would like as a friend. I have a type. I have a type of character that I love, and that is big, brawny, dumb people. And there's no one who's big, brawnier, and dumber than Hammond from Mistborn. He's not really like stupid. What I mean by dumb is he literally will crack a joke at inappropriate times. He's a goofball, but when the time is right, he will be the person that will have your back and be that brawn that you need. I don't know why I love the trope of just like big, strong, goofy, dumb people. It's so good. I love Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist. I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because every single character is this weird beefcake that's silly. I love it. And Hammond fits that bill perfectly. He's a dork. He cracks jokes, and he's just a reliable person that I would love as a friend. We could sit there and be dumb together, and then when push comes to shove, when the time is right, we will be there fighting to the death, and we'd love it. It'd be a lot of fun. Question number 8. A place I want to visit because of a book I read. Again, back to Mistborn. Mistborn had so many cathedrals and Gothic architecture that I loved. The Lord Ruler's house was very well described. All the lords and families in there had these cathedral type homes. And there's one cathedral that I love. It's in Cologne, Germany. And that I just want to see that. I want to go to Germany to see the cathedral. And this book made me really want to see more of that architecture, because that architecture inspired stories, and seeing really cool things inspires yourself in writing. And so I want to see that type of stuff and that amazement, because it's just so awesome. It's so cool to look at. People built that. It took years to do. And it's architecture that just... I know it could be any cathedral, but the one in Cologne is the one that really stands out to me. So that's where I'd want to go because of Mistborn. That really set the tone of me wanting to go see that type of architecture. Question number 9, a nonfiction book you would recommend. My pick for a nonfiction book is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. This gentleman here, he is incredible. He's an actor, as we all know, but this man can journal, and this story of his life is really, really cool. I thoroughly enjoyed and could have put this book down. You see photos of young Matthew McConaughey in it. You see notes and things that he kept over the years. They're obviously recreation of them. Some of them are actually scanned in here as well, but you actually get to see stories of his travels, where he went to, and this thought process and a lot of it, and I couldn't put this book down. It's a really good read, and you also will get something out of it. You'll get his mentality of where, like, green lights is a symbol for what his life motto is. Follow the green light. Go. When you see something or feel something, just go. Don't stop. Go. Follow that thought. So I love it. I also love how this book looks. It's very Western type looking, but if you remove the cover, or the picture cover, you'll see his green light thing at the top. I think it's just a really good book, autobiography by Matthew McConaughey, and a great nonfiction story. I know it's not of any true importance, but I think you'll get a lot out of it. And also, if you listen to it on Audible, he narrates it, so not only do you get the soothing sound of Matthew McConaughey, but he goes on tangents and adds a lot to the story. So I highly recommend the Audible book, or not Audible, audio book as well. Use a different thing than Audible. Question number 10. If you could hang out with an author all day, who would you pick and why? I'm going to be honest, I am a pretty extroverted person, but when it comes to people that I respect, especially writers for some reason make me shy, because I respect writers so much because they just created something out of nothing in thin air with words, and they're powerful and they can evoke emotions, and I just love it. And so I would be very shy around any author in general, but somebody that I personally feel I could vibe with because I read their book called Things I Wish My Son Knew About the World, Fredrik Backman. I would love to hang out with Fredrik Backman. He seems like a very cool person in real life. We'd probably play some video games. We'd probably watch a hockey game in Sweden. We'd probably watch a football game on TV, and we would just hang out, having fun. He seems like a very cool dude and down to earth, and so I think we'd just vibe. I don't know. That's just the feeling I have of Fredrik Backman. I think he'd be really awesome to do, but I think he'd be really awesome to hang out with. Next up, question number 11. This is to tag some people to do this tag. So there's two people that come to mind. And the first one is another book daddy, someone else who is here on BookTube, and it is the Bookish Daddy. He actually has the name on his freaking page. I'm jelly. I didn't think of that. But the Bookish Daddy, welcome to BookTube. I want to see what you got off the top of your head. It'll be a really fun tag, and I think you'd bring a lot to it. If you guys want to go visit his channel, he covers a lot of romantasy, fantasy, things in that vein, a lot of fantasy area, sci-fi type stuff, but specifically a lot of romantasy as of late. So go check it out. Next up, we have Nikki at My Messy Bookshelf. Her bookshelf is truly messy. I love seeing it in the background. And she's also new to BookTube. She's done about 8 videos now and been around for about a month. And she's really awesome. Her videos are very good, very concise. I love how real they feel. It feels like I'm hanging out in the same room with Nikki. And so go support her channel as well. I'd love to see what both of you guys bring to the Off the Top of Your Head book tag challenge. It was a lot of fun. Thank you again for watching. Thank you, Basically Netta, for tagging me. And as always, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and